Jai Hind, myself Dr. Pratik Bhatnagar, Reader, Department of Prosthodontics, Subharti Dental College and Hospital, Swami Vivekanand, Subharti University, Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. So, we are going to discuss one of the most important topic in dentistry and in prosthodontics, that is the articulators. So, what is articulator? So articulator, it can be defined according to glossary of prosthodontic terms as a mechanical device which represents the temporomandibular joint. Means it is a device made up of metal or plastic. That's why it is a mechanical device which is representing our temporomandibular joints or TMJ and the jaw members to which the maxillary and the mandibular cast may be attached to simulate our jaw movements. Now, what are the jaw movements? We will take a brief. Mandibular movements, they are basically complex movements, and TMJ is the only joint in our human body which is capable of having a movement in all the three axes, that is x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So to replicate these movements we use articulators. So basically here you can see first movement is downward movement, that is when we open our mouth, that is the downward movement of our mandible. The second one is the protrusive movement, that is the forward movement of our mandible. Then the lateral movements, in this on the side where we chew our food or the side which we use, that is the working side, and the balancing or the contralateral side is also known as the non-working side. Now coming over to elements of articulator. So basically we have horizontal axis of rotation where the condyles move along the horizontal axis. So the variability of the position of the horizontal axis of rotation in relationship to the maxillary dental cast. And the second element is your condylar inclination. As we know, we have condyle in the mandible and glenoid fossa in the upper member, that is a temporal bone. So the inclination of our glenoid fossa determine our condylar inclination. So it is variability of the angle of the eminentia, directional guidance of the superior, posterior and medial wall of the fossa, and the ability to simulate laterotrusive movement. Well, we will discuss it in later slides. Now coming over to the adjustability of an articulator. So in the definition we have seen or we have read that to simulate the temporomandibular joint. So the adjustability is the main criteria for the articulator. So the capability of the articulator to closely simulate the movements of the mandible, that is the adjustability of an articulator. Now coming over to purpose of an articulator. So what are the purpose of an articulator? As mentioned before, to hold the maxillary and the mandibular cast in a determined fixed relationship, that is our MI or CR, that is maximum intercuspation or centric relationship. The second one is to simulate the jaw movements like opening and closing. Now the third one, to produce border movements, that is extreme lateral or protrusive movements and intra-border movements. This is basically a point which we will read in mandibular movements. This is basically Poschel's movement which we will read in detail in the lecture of mandibular movements. So coming over to the fourth one, to diagnose the state of occlusion in both natural and artificial dentition. Here artificial dentition is a type or any prosthodontic or prosthesis which we have given intraorally. Then to plan dental procedure based on the relationship between opposing natural and artificial teeth. Example, evaluation of possibility of balanced occlusion in case of complete dentures. Then to aid in fabrication of restorations and prosthodontic replacements, to correct and modify complete restoration, and to arrange artificial teeth. So basically it is an instrument which is helping us in the absence of a patient and which is simulating the patient's mandibular movements and the patient's natural occlusion. Now, what are the basic requirement for an articulator? First one, to hold the cast in the correct horizontal relationship. Horizontal relationship over here was the first point in the elements of the articulation. Then the second one is to hold the cast in correct vertical relationship. Now, vertical relationship is of utmost importance. Loss of vertical relationship will lead to many I should say many problems, and the increase in vertical dimension will again cause many problems to the patient. So, a correct vertical relationship is of utmost importance, which an articulator do the work. Then the third one should be easily removable and reattachable, that is the maxillary and the mandibular cast. They can be easily removed and they can be easily attached, and they should provide positive anterior vertical stop, that is incisor pin. We will go in detail in the later half of this lecture. Now, the advantages. Properly mounted cast allow the operator to visualize the patient's occlusion, especially from the lingual view. See, in patient we can only see the occlusion either on the labial side or on the from the buccal side. But what about the lingual or the palatal side? So, an articulator, it helps to visualize a proper occlusion from the lingual aspect. The second one, patient cooperation is not a factor when using an articulator once the appropriate intraocclusal records are obtained from the patient. So, we do not need patient for fabricating our prosthesis for the diagnostic purpose, for increasing or decreasing the vertical dimension, or when we are changing a complete occlusion. We do not need patient. Then, correction of complete denture occlusion in mouth is extremely difficult because of shifting denture basis and resiliency of the supporting tissue. As we know, we have a basal bone or a cortical bone. Over this, that we have a resilient mucosa which may be firm, but still it is slightly resilient. So, it is damn difficult to adjust a proper occlusion in complete dentures in a patient's mouth, which we can easily do it on the articulator. The last point is it reduces chair time and patient's appointment time. Now, the limitations. Definitely, it is a very good instrument, but every instrument has its limitations. So, articulator may be made up of metal or plastic, as I previously told. So, a metal articulator will show errors in tooling or errors resulting from the metal fatigue. What is metal fatigue? It is a topic of dental materials. Then, the articulator may not exactly simulate the intra-border or functional movement of the mandibular. In the later half of this lecture, we will see the different types of articulators, in which there are articulators which can simulate the intra-border or the functional movements, and there are the articulators which can simulate to a certain extent. So, it depends. Now, the last point is error in jaw relation produced. Procedures are reproduced as error in the prosthesis occlusion. If we are gaining a jaw relation from the patient, in that process, if we have made a certain mistake, that mistake will be reproduced in the articulator, and that will again lead to the errors in the prosthesis occlusion. Now, the most important part, the classification of articulator. Now, in the exams, the classification will be asked or may be asked by the examiner or in your theory paper, that classify articulators. So, very broad classifications are present over there in the textbooks and the journals. So, basically we can classify an articulator upon the theories of articulation, on the type of interocclusal records used, the third one based on the ability to simulate jaw movements, and the last one based on the adjustability of the articulator. So, these are the four criteria on which we can classify our articulators. So, coming over to the classification based upon the theory of occlusion. So, here we have three theories. The first one is Bonville theory of articulator. You must have heard the name Bonville theory. So, according to this theory, the teeth move in a relation to each other as guided by the condyle and the incisal guidance, and was given by W.G.A. Bonville. So, it is also known as theory of equilateral triangle, according to which the distance between the condyle is equal to the midpoint of the mandibular incisors. That is, we have an equilateral triangle joining the center of the two condyles and the tip of the mandibular central incisors. So, equilateral triangle is formed between the two condyles and the incisal point. On this theory, the articulators can be classified. Then coming over to the conical theory. It was proposed by R.H. Hall, and it proposed that the lower teeth move over the surface of upper teeth as over the surface of a cone, generating an angle of 45 degrees with the central axis of the cone tipped 45 degrees to the occlusal plane. Now, a very long sentence. So, just let me explain. In our skull, what is moving? The mandible is moving. So the mandibular teeth, they move on the static maxillary teeth at an angle of 45 degrees to the central axis. And you must have seen, when we do a teeth arrangement, we just when we place premolars and molars, there are certain criteria that first molar will have both the cusp on the occlusal plane, then the second molar, then the first molar, then the second molar, then the mesiopalatal cusp will touch of first molar, and whatever. So these are the degrees, that is 45 degrees to which the teeth move. So this is the theory of this was a theory which was proposed by Hall, known as conical theory of articulation. Now coming over to spherical theory, the articulator was devised by G.S. Monsoon. You must have heard the name Monsoon curve. Now this theory proposed that the lower teeth move over the surface of upper teeth as over the surface of a sphere with a diameter of 8 inches, and the center of the sphere is located in the region of glabella. The surface of the sphere passed through the glenoid fossa and along through the articulating eminences. Okay, now coming over to, based upon the types of records used for their adjustment. As a BDS student, this is not of your much importance, but we should know this. Now we have interocclusal record adjustments. Now the articulator, when it is adjusted by some kind of interocclusal records, that is either MICR or protrusion, the records may be made by base plate, plaster of Paris, zinc oxide eugenol, or cold cure acrylic resin. Nowadays we have our newer materials, that is your addition silicon in a high consistency, which can be used for the interocclusal records. Now the graphic record adjustment. Graphic record consists of records of the extreme border positions of the mandibular movements. They are capable of accurately reproducing the border movements of the mandible, that is the right lateral, left lateral, your CR, that is centric relation, or MI, that is maximum intercuspation, and the protrusive movement, that is recorded either by the extraoral graphic plates or the intraoral graphic plates. The third one is hinge axis locating for adjusting articulator. It is the transographic record. It can be used to record the accurate location of the hinge axis in an articulator. Now what is hinge axis? What is transographic records? It is a topic which we will be learning when we will read or when we will study about orientation, jaw relation, or the phase-bow transfer. Now coming over to the based on the ability to simulate jaw movement. This is one of the most important I should say the classification which all you guys must know. So coming over on this, that is class 1. Class 1, it is a simple articulator capable of accepting a single static registration. Only vertical motion is possible. Now, what is class 1? Like a hinge, that is a door attached to a wall. We have a hinge to which the door is attached. It is capable of having only a single motion, that is either opening or closing. If we invert it, so it is upward and downward, that is vertical. So these are the articulators which can attach the maxillary and the mandibular cast, or which can simulate relationship only in one axis, that is vertical, that is opening and closing. So the examples are slab articulator, Brandor articulator, or commonly used, or the common name is dog bite articulator, only opening and closing, that's all. No lateral, no protrusive, no retrusive, no okay. Now class 2, articulators which permit horizontal and vertical motion, but they do not orient the movement of TMJ with the phase bow. Now these are the articulators basically which we are using, that is mean value or 3-point articulator. We will go in detail. So these are the articulator which shows a vertical component as well as slight horizontal component. As previously, as I said, that TMJ, it is capable of having x, y and z axis movements. So it is just able to slightly reproduce or simulate the x axis and the y axis, that is your slight vertical and the horizontal movement, but it will not accept a phase bow transfer, that is the orientation jaw relation is not possible in class 2 type of articulator. So the difference is in class 1 only vertical, in class 2 vertical as well as horizontal. Now further it can be classified as in 3 types, that is class 2A, class 2B, class 2C. Now in type A only limited eccentric motion is present, that is vertical is there but right and left eccentric motion, that is limited. Examples are mean value articulator. We will go in detail in the later half of this lecture. Type 2B, we have limited eccentric motion, possibly based on theories of arbitrary motion. Examples are monsoons or Hall's articulator, that is when monsoon or Hall we have previously seen, that is a spherical theory and the conical theory. Now type 2C, limited eccentric motion, possibly based on engraving records oriented by the patient, that is examples are House classification or House articulator. Now in both the 3 types we have seen we have only limited eccentric motion. We have vertical motion but eccentric motion where the horizontal component lies, that is limited. To a certain extent we can do a horizontal movement. Now coming over to class 3. Now they permit horizontal as well as vertical movement. Now they can be classified again as class 3A, class 3B. Now the first one was class 1, no subtype, class 2 subtype 3s, now class 3 subtype 2, that is type A, type B. In first only vertical, in second we have vertical but limited horizontal. Type 3 we have horizontal as well as vertical simulations. We will go in detail. Now type A, they accept a static protrusive registration and they use equivalents of other types of motion. Now examples are Hanau H, Hanau 2, Bergstrom articulators. The type 3B, they accept static lateral protusive registration and they use equivalent for other type of motion. Examples are Hanau University series, Teledyne, etc. Now coming over to class 4, we do not have any subtype in this. So these are the articulators which accept three-dimensional registration. They are capable of accurately reproducing the condylar pathway for each patient. So now here we have a point. Type 1 only vertical, type 2 vertical and limited horizontal, type 3 horizontal and vertical. As I previously said, TMJ is a joint which is capable of the movement in all the three axes x, y and z. So x and y we did in the previous articulators. What about z? So class 4, they are the articulators which are capable of reproducing the movements in all the three directions, that is x, y and z. So we have reached approximately half of our lecture. It's time for a short break and we'll do some breathing exercises. Just breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Breathe in, stop, breathe out. Breathe in, good, continue. Very nice. Now coming over to the classification, the last classification based on the adjustability of the articulators. So it is also one of the most important classification. You must know it can be divided under three components, that is first one non-adjustable, second semi and the third one is fully adjustable articulators. Now going into the details, non-adjustable articulators, as you can see in the diagram, this is a mean value articulator or a 3-point articulator based upon the equilateral theory of occlusion. So these articulators, they can open and close in a fixed horizontal axis and have a fixed condylar path along which the condylar ball can be moved to simulate lateral and protusive jaw movements. We all are using this mean value articulators. Here what we can do, we can just open the upper member and we can close the lower member, and you can see the two condylar balls on the side of the upper member. So to a certain extent we can guide our upper member to a certain degree which is showing the condylar path and it is fixed, we cannot change it. That's why it is a non-adjustable articulators of accepting the Feshbach transfer, that is the orientation jaw relation can be reproduced in semi-adjustable articulators. Coming over to the fully adjustable articulators. Now they are the articulators which are capable of being adjusted to follow the mandible movements in all directions, that is x, y and z. These articulators have a number of readings which can be customized for each patient. though it is time taking, difficult to reproduce or simulate all the jaw movements of the patient on the articulator, but if we are using a fully adjustable articulator, it will help us reducing our time in the fabrication of the prosthesis and for the adjustment of that prosthesis in the patient's mouth. So, the fully adjustable articulators, they do not have a condylar guidance as we have condylar guidance in the semi-adjustable articulators. We do not have any condylar guidance. Rather, we have receptacles in which acrylic dot can be contoured to form a customized condylar guidance as well as the incisal guidance of particular patient. So that's why we are completely adjusting the condylar guidance and we are completely adjusting incisal guidance as well as the lateral movements along with the Bennett movement. That's why they are fully adjustable articulators. The examples, as you can see, it is given Strott instrument gnatoscope. Okay, so now the articulator which you all guys use. Now it is the mean value articulator or a 3-point articulator. It is non-adjustable articulator. Please do not mistake it with a semi-adjustable articulator. In these articulators we have a constant or a fixed condylar guidance which cannot be adjusted. Neither the incisal guidance, it cannot be adjusted. Okay, as given in the second point, they are designed by using fixed dimensions which are derived from average distance between the incisal and the condylar guidance of the population. We have taken n number of people, say 100, 200, 500. We have taken the intercondylar distance, the condylar guidance, and the distance between condylar guidance and the incisal guidance, and the mean which came. We applied that mean in fabricating or in manufacturing of these articulators. That is same as the name suggests, mean value articulator. Okay, now the condylar guidance, it is equivalent to glenoid fossa, is attached to the lower member, and condylar element equivalent to mandibular condyle attached to the upper member. So it is a non-Arcana type of articulators. Okay, never ever say a 3-point articulator or mean value articulator it is Arcan. No, it is non-Arcan because the guidance, condylar guidance, it is present in the lower member and condylar element is present in the upper member. The reverse will be Arcan. Got it? Chalo. Now coming over to the basic components of an articulators. So here we can see we have upper member, lower member. To the upper member we will attach the maxillary cast, lower member we will attach the mandibular cast. Now we have incisal guide table which is completely flat in non-adjustable articulators, or class 1, that is slab articulators. Only vertical and opening was present. In mean value we have certain dimensions which we will read afterwards. Then we have condylar guidance which is non-adjustable, which we cannot change in non-adjustable articulator and which we can change to simulate natural movement in semi-adjustable, and we can completely simulate in fully adjustable. And we have incisal pin to determine a particular vertical dimension. Either we have to increase, we have to decrease that vertical dimension, that is when we clench our teeth, that dimension we can vary. That is done by the incisal pin. Now upper member, these are the details. It is a triangular frame with the base of the triangle placed posteriorly. The apex of the triangle contains a provision to accommodate the incisal pin. The two condylar elements are seen projecting on either side of the base of the triangle. That's why it is a non-Arcan, right? they articulate with the condylar guidance of the lower member. The maxillary cast is attached to the upper member during articulation. Coming over to the lower member, it is L-shaped frame with horizontal and vertical arm. The horizontal arm is triangular in shape and correspond to the upper member, same shape, that is based on the posterior apex on the anterior. The apex of the triangle of the horizontal arm contains the incisal guide table on which the incisal pin, which is coming from the upper member, it attaches in the lower member's incisal guide table. And we have a vertical arm which is rectangular containing the condylar guidance slot at the upper position. Now here you can see this is the incisal guide table. Above this we have incisal pin or incisal rod. Incisal guide table, it is defined as the part of the articulator which maintains the incisal guide angle according to Grossery of prosthodontic terms. Now what is incisal or incisal guide? Incisal guidance, it is the angulation according to which our mandibular incisors they slide on the palatal surface of the maxillary anteriors. So that is your incisal guidance. The incisal guide table gives the incisal guidance of the articulator, and it can be described as a very short cylindrical whose upper surface is concave. The vertical rod rests on the center of the incisal guide table during articulation, and the incisal guide angle is fixed and non-customizable in mean value, but customizable in semi-adjustable and fully adjustable. Now, it can be described as a very short cylindrical whose upper surface is concave. As I have previously told, the vertical rod should rest on the center. On the previous slide, the incisor guide angle is fixed and is non-customizable. Now this is, you can see in the center here, it is the incisal pin, also known as incisal rod. It helps to keep a fixed distance between upper and lower member at the anterior end. Now the vertical rod has a pointed tip which should rest on the center. We have seen in the previous slide incisor guide table of the incisor guide table during articulation. The tip of the incisor guide pin is the interior reference point in this articulator, and the incisal edge of the maxillary incisors at the midpoint of the occlusal rim should touch the tip of the incisal pin during articulation. Now this is the slab articulator or dog bite articulator. Example, non-adjustable simple hinge. Here we can see only, here we have the hinge only. This is the vertical stop, only opening and closing, that is the vertical movement around a fixed axis is possible. Example, type 2 or non-adjustable average value articulator, which is capable of lateral movement. Some are capable of variable location of horizontal axis of rotation. Now all of this type have fixed arbitrary condylar inclination settings, vertical axis of rotation settings, and Bennett angle. No adjustments can be done or available. These are the mean values of non-adjustable, that is the average or the mean values of the mean value articulators. The condylar angle or the condylar guidance, it is 34 degrees, the lateral is 15 degrees, and the incisal guide is 10 to 15 degrees. But we cannot change these values. Let me be very clear. In type 1, we are only capable of having opening and closing. Then we have this non-adjustable articulators. We can open and close, and we have slide guidance, condylar guidance, we have slide incisal guidance, we have slight lateral guidance, but they are fixed. That's why the name mean or average value articulators, which we are using commonly. We cannot change them. That is 33 degrees or 34 degrees of condylar guidance, 15 degrees of lateral, and 10 to 15 or 12 degrees of the incisal guidance. Coming over to semi-adjustable, they simulate lateral, protrusive and bayonet movements to varying or variable degrees. The amount of adjustability incorporated in the design provides the degree of simulation available. Now, to a certain extent, we can reproduce or we can change the guidance which was fixed in the previous articulator, that is means if it is coming 28, condylar guidance is coming 28, we can change it from 30 to 28 degrees. If the incisal guidance is coming say 18 degrees, we can change it from 10 to 18 degrees. So, we can adjust in semi-adjustable articulator, but we cannot change these guidance in non-adjustable or the mean value articulators. Now, this is the example of fully adjustable articulator. As you can see, there are n number of parts along the condylar elements. So, this is fully adjustable articulator where we can simulate exactly the condylar guidance, the lateral, protrusive and lateral guidance and the protrusive guidance as well as the incisal guidance. So, time for a quick revision. So, what is or what are articulators? Articulators, they are mechanical device made up of some metal or plastic attached with screws and have various parts. So, it is a mechanical device which is used to attach maxillary and a mandibular cast, which simulates the temporomandibular joint of the patient. The uses, they are very simple. In the absence of patient, we can simulate the patient's exact or partial mandibular movements, that is your protrusive movements, right or left, lateral movements. Okay, then we can use that articulator for the correction of occlusal errors in the prosthesis upon the classification. May classification, which you should all know, that is it is non-adjustable, semi-adjustable and it's your fully adjustable. In non-adjustable, we have your slab articulators, only vertical movement. We have mean value articulators, vertical and slight horizontal, having 33 degrees, 15 degrees and 10 degrees, that is condylar guidance, lateral guidance and incisal guidance. Okay, and in fully we can completely simulate. We have receptacles in the articulator in the condylar guidance, where by the acrylic dough we can completely simulate the exact inclination of the condylar guidance, lateral guidance and the incisal guidance. So, the most important classification is non, semi and fully adjustable articulators. Now, the examples of non-adjustable are your slab, dog bite articulators or mean value or 3-point articulators. In semi-adjustable, we have Hanau articulators, that is Hanau wide view articulators, Whipmix articulators. In fully adjustable, we have Gerbach articulators. Okay. Now, so these are the questions. Please just jot it down. The first question is define articulators. Then classify the types of articulators, difference between archon and non-archon, and the difference between non-adjustable and semi-adjustable articulators with examples. Now, you must be remembering archon and non-archon. Let me just revise. Archon and non-archon. Archon means articulating condyle, non-archon non-articulating condyle. So, in archon the condylar guidance is present in the upper member, whereas the condylar element or the condylar balls are present in the lower member. Examples are now wide view. In non-archon it is reverse, that is the guidance is present in the lower member and the condylar elements they are present in the upper member, which is completely reverse of it. Examples are mean value articulators. Okay. Now these are the references for your further reading. The first one is Essential of Complete Denture Prosthodontics by Sheldon Winkler, the third edition, and you can go to the journal, the Classification of Articulators, published in Journal of Prosthodontic Dentistry. I hope you must have learned something about articulators. For any doubts, queries, whatever, please mail me on my ID. Thank you for your listening. This is Dr. Pratik Bhatnagar signing off. Here is my email ID. Have a good day.